I think the tide is actually turning, because I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and he said, he said a lot of the people that voted for Biden, et cetera, are all having buyer's remorse at this point. A lot of them are going, they can't support the Democrats out. And these are diehard Democrat people. So I think the tide may be turning a little bit.
Well, we'll see in about 30 days.
Some days, yeah.
Something like that.
I don't foresee the leadership in California changing. I still think Newsom's going to win. So we'll continue on this path of destruction for another 4 years.
Unfortunately, I have to agree with you.
Well, I've got friends of mine who are teachers who said, well, you don't understand. And of course, that's always a good way for me to start. But they said, you don't understand. Some of these parents are terrible, and these kids come to us, and we can help guide them, et cetera. And I said, I applaud the fact that you're so passionate about your profession. I really do. But it's not your job. And I don't care if the parents are bad. It's their kid, not yours. And the fact that you want to help them is wonderful. You need to do it through the parents, not you deciding, well, I'm going to give this kid special attention and coach them and guide them through all the hurdles in life. That's not the way to do it. It's never been the way to do it.
I'm doing well. Good to have great company. And I saw you were on, so I figured, hey, I want to get with these two people.
We just got done talking about school boards, and Blaine's out in Virginia, and Tony's over in the Valley, a little ways from me. But this whole thing with the school boards trying to keep parents out and teachers thinking they know better than parents. You're right. That might be true. There are times, even when I went to school, when all of you went to school, when you had some kids going to school, the parents just mistreated or didn't care about or something. But you had ways to deal with that. You had ways to deal with that when I was a police officer. You called Department of Child Services, and Child Services went out. They document the fact that maybe there is a problem in the home, something like that. But you don't try to raise the kids your way. You try to figure out the best thing for the child. If it is to take the child from the home, that requires a whole lot of bad going on before that's going to happen.
Well, isn't it odd that the answer today is that the government's going to micromanage your life? They're going to decide what's good for your kids. They're going to teach your kids, like with CRT and its applications. Well, white people are obviously evil and racist, and black people are obviously victims. And the only one who can answer that are a small group of elites, whether it be Governor Newsom or it be appointed Governor Kathy Hochul or the Biden-Harris administration. They're going to decide what's best for your kid in your home. And if you disagree with that, they're going to use the full weight and power of Merrick Garland, the AG, and the FBI investigating you and charging you for having actually paid attention and caring. Something seems wrong in that situation, and I don't think it's the parent. About 2 weeks ago, we were talking about same issue, school board and our kids, and we had a candidate for the school board in North Carolina, and he happened to mention why he was running. This is how bad this has gotten, and this is across the nation, but one key example. It's a father, he has a mixed family, okay? The son's a mixed child. This will be important in a second. The son, who's 9 in 3rd grade, says, hey, Dad, am I white? And his dad goes, well, you're both. You're white and happen to be Hispanic as well. He goes, oh, well, that's good. He goes, well, why'd you ask? The son goes, well, teachers told me about racism and white people are racist. And so, I wanted to make sure I wasn't white because I don't want to be a racist. The dad goes, show me your books. Show me show me what they're teaching you. He went into the school book that this kid in North Carolina got, and it details quite explicitly that only white people are racist and everyone else is victims, and that obviously this is morally bad. And this is what it was teaching his child in his own family, such that the kid had to question, was he born a racist? Was his family, was his dad a racist? simply because of the color of skin.
You know, they focus on the absolute extreme instances and make it out like it's a bigger problem than in reality in our society it's not. You know, so I just it frustrates the heck out of me, and I don't know how you guys feel about it.
Well, if I can ask a question, I don't. The reason why I think they're doing this is a distraction.
Right.
Democrats have nothing to run on. There is no positive impact of any policy that they have put forth. Look at the recession that we're in. Look at OPEC just cut the amount of oil that they're making. So that means that guarantees that the one thing that was down in terms of inflation, which was energy prices, is now skyrocketing back up as we have a food shortage, which means our recession is getting deeper and longer. They have no respect around the world. We have open borders. We have immigrants that are in hurricane relief zones that are looting. 75% of the people they caught are illegal aliens that should never have been in our country that are looting in a hurricane relief zone. They have nothing to point. Crime is up exponentially in the top 22 Democratic-run cities, the largest cities in America, and everywhere else it's up as well because of their bail policies, their catch and release policies. They've got nothing to point to. So they have to distract us and say, well, the most important thing is that your kid now identifies as a toaster. So you need to chop off their genitals, and you have to respect that because they're 8 and they know exactly where the rest of their life is going. They want us so obsessed with that conversation because it's absolutely convoluted and senseless so that we don't notice everything else is falling down around us. And if we weren't such a wonderful first world leader of freedom in the world, we wouldn't have time to waste on this absolute idiocy.
There's no women at risk of never being able to have an abortion in California. But this was in a yard in California. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's all distraction. There's nothing substantial. They've destroyed everything they've touched, and they have no positive things to show for any of their time in the governorships or now in the presidency. They've owned the administration for 2 years, and they've done absolutely nothing good for this country with it.
It's deliberate what they're doing. They've been able to divide families based on race. They've been able to divide family based on religion, been able to divide family based on party affiliations. So it's pretty deliberate. I would like to think that somebody in Chairman Biden's position wouldn't do that, but I don't really think he's running the country to begin with. I'm not sure who is, but I know it's not him. Kind of feel sorry for him because he's not really there, as we know.
People in California are running over to Texas, turning Texas purple. We're not containing the bleeding, we're expanding it because we're not dealing with the root cause. The root cause is we're teaching our kids to be obedient without thinking to the government. They're allowing the government to micromanage their lives to save them. Oh, I signed a loan for college, and I took up a career in lesbian dance theory, which has no practical use whatsoever, or African studies, which has no practical use whatsoever. And now you have this debt. And now the government's going, well, we'll save you from making bad decisions and not thinking about your life and not being accountable. And so we're going to protect you. And by the way, since we're the only ones who will do it, you have to vote us in and keep us in. Otherwise, those other bad guys are going to make you accountable for your own decisions and make you have to live up to what you agreed to. We can't run a nation like that.
No, you're absolutely right. But California is a place where we're working on it. I mean, there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of good conservatives on the ballot. Unfortunately, Newsom is pretty much locked in mostly because of our voter turnout.
Again, going back to talking about kids in our schools, maybe it's not the best thing to teach generations to come that some of them are inherently evil or racist and others are inherently victims because of the color of their skin. That's never going to wind up being a positive or unifier in the United States.
No, That is, you're right. That is 100% designed to separate people. And unfortunately, that's what the Democratic Party has become, a party of separation, a party that wants to separate people by race, by social status. It's amazing the stuff that has happened.